So the U.S. government has doubled down on its initiative to force Chinese company ByteDance to sell off U.S. interests in TikTok. So the deadline to sell TikTok to a U.S.-based company or face a ban from the U.S. remains at September 20th, 2020. But an additional executive order has now been signed stating that the transaction must be completed within 90 days, citing national security concerns and requiring ByteDance to verify that it has destroyed any data obtained from U.S. customers, including data from its 2017 purchase of Musical.ly. So TikTok and ByteDance, of course, continue to deny the allegations of data impropriety and point to the fact that TikTok has a U.S. headquarters and its CEO is American. Nonetheless, Microsoft has been the most vocal company publicly stating that it is pursuing the purchase of TikTok, but others have also expressed interest, including Twitter and maybe even Apple. So this all comes as the competition from rivals of the social media platform has increased significantly, with Instagram's Reels recently launching in the US and Triller, which has seen a surge in downloads, and on which, of note, the Trump campaign has just set up an account. So the administration also announced additional restrictions against other Chinese companies, one of which is designed to block Huawei from obtaining semiconductors for its chips, and a continued threat to messaging app WeChat, which is used globally for Chinese citizens to communicate with families and businesses outside of China. So multiple companies, including Ford and Disney, have expressed their concerns with that one. The bottom line is there is a lot going on, and the ramifications are still being determined, and administration officials have hinted that even more action against China-based companies could be coming. So to follow along with our analysis, go to digitaltrends.com. Facebook has made no secret of their goal of cross-platform communication between Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and it appears they have begun part of that transition. So Instagram users may soon see an update notification which states that there is a new way to message. It comes along with a logo of Instagram and Facebook Messenger, and that's because DMs and Instagram are about to get a new look. So this initial update will allow Instagram users to use the functions that were traditionally just in Facebook Messenger, such as more emojis, changing the look of the chat, and even using swipe to reply features. So this update will also now feature the Messenger logo in the upper right corner instead of the Instagram DM one. And as of right now, you still can't message across the platform as a whole to Facebook users, but that's definitely going to be on the way. And that's because Facebook has made it clear that the ultimate goal is to allow users of any one or all three services to communicate to each other via Messenger. This would, in theory, unify billions of people under the same messaging surface, since adoption of each one varies across geography or culture, even age differences. But you combine all three, that's a lot of people. So it's a bold move with a lot of steps needed to make it happen, but it appears the transition is slowly beginning. Now, originally, Zuckerberg said that the merger of all three platforms would be completed by the end of 2020, and that it would include end-to-end encryption, but we'll have to see if that's still the case and if that timeline is actually met. You can read more about it at digitaltrends.com. All right, does the future of shipping and underwater exploration lie in the hands of the robots? Well, maybe partially, and a recent demonstration is furthering the technology underlying those initiatives. So the UK-based company Seakit International just completed a 22-day mission with its uncrewed surface vehicle named Maxlimer, where it was sent out into the Atlantic to map a section of the seafloor that essentially has no modern data recorded about it. So it left from Plymouth in July and was sent 280 miles out into the ocean. The ship itself utilized an echo sounder to send waves down to about 1 kilometer in depth and was able to map about 1,000 square kilometers of the ocean floor. The technology here, though, that's the real star, since many shipping companies and scientific missions would like to incorporate more robotics into their operations. There are already examples of this, and military has some use cases as well, but the thing is, it's something that a lot of people are looking at. And the key thing is that operators would take remote control of it at any time. For safety regulations, that's an important piece of the puzzle. So utilizing satellites, they took over-the-horizon control, and it worked well. The operators could access onboard cameras with audio, thermal imaging, radar, and could even communicate with nearby vessels. And it was all a part of a contest that was launched to start mapping the world's seafloors. So this is a pretty incredible stat. Only 1/5 of the Earth's seafloors have been mapped. We've mapped more of the moon than the seafloor here on Earth, and that's something scientists want to change. So this is all part of a continued push for autonomous or remotely controlled robotics at sea, including the eventual use in massive cross-Atlantic freight trade. A lot of things need to happen before that does, but this is still an interesting use case of robotic ships. Read more about it at digitaltrends.com. SpaceX looks to set some records with its 100th launch on Tuesday as they plan to send another batch of Starlink satellites utilizing a Falcon 9 rocket while also setting up more third-party satellites as part of its rideshare program. Let's break it down here. First off, this will be the 11th launch of Starlink satellites as they continue their goal of providing broadband satellite internet access globally, but first here in the US. They've said that the system could launch by the end of this year, but there is a beta program going on right now, and some of the data is being reported. So users have to sign non-disclosure agreements as part of the beta program, but a Reddit user posted an image of speed tests. So it's showing speeds ranging from 11 megabytes per second to 60, which may seem slow to someone in a city with solid internet connection, but there's a lot of people that have far slower speeds than that, so it's definitely promising. Secondly, let's talk about the record they're attempting to break. So the Falcon 9 booster rocket they are using will be in its 6th launch. That's a record in its own right. So it's been part of 3 other Starlink missions and 2 separate missions for SpaceX so far. And on top of that, they're of course going to try to land the booster and recover it, which would also break another record. So with 100 launches now and the increased recoverability of their equipment, they are vastly bringing the price down on satellite launches. Which brings us to our third point, and that's that as part of their rideshare program, more and more companies are gaining access to space with their own satellites, or even just the fact that they can have a quick turnaround. So they're sending 2 of them up on this particular launch, but Black Sky, which is a monitoring tech company, sent up satellites on a recent SpaceX launch and was receiving data and detailed images within 58 hours. That's a really fast turnaround time, and it proves that it's definitely a bonus to these businesses to get their satellites up there because of this rideshare program, because of the savings in costs. So you can read more about all of this and join us to watch the 100th launch tomorrow by going to digitaltrends.com. So hit subscribe.